It's all over the news.
It's all over the news.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything about it.
Yeah.
You're not going to.
Do you know companies like Stericycle? They go to the abortion mill and then they basically take it as medical waste. Well, it was like a Stericycle company that comes to pick up to dispose of the medical waste. Some Christians and others who were out there were able to get access to that waste box or packages. There was 115, probably about a week worth of abortions, or less, 2-3 days at that mill.
I mean, like these late-term ones, yes, are like gross, but we don't know the circumstances these people were in when they went under
What
the operation.
circumstance, though, is it okay to murder an innocent person? What circumstance is all right?
I mean, could that baby sustain itself if it weren't in the womb?
What baby can? Outside
Right.
the womb.
Right.
Maybe can't outside the womb.
So could I kill a 2-year-old? Can't my 2-year-old can't sustain life without me?
So yes, it's like so you're choosing based on location, stuff like that. But
No, you said dependence, sustainability. That was your argument just now.
Right. I wouldn't consider this to be like a person yet. It's still like
Is it a human?
half a thing. Like,
Is it a human?
Its head, its brain was sucked out.
They
Put a
crushed
troll
it.
car.
They crushed
cut a
and sucked the
hole,
brain out.
Stuck a tube in the brain. And sucked, that's the head had actually concaved. It sucked in because of the suction of the brain out of the baby's head to kill the baby.
Again, we don't know
Doesn't matter.
why the person chose.
Doesn't matter.
So do they do that in murder trials? Like somebody's on trial for murder and the judge says, "But did you have a good reason?" And the guy says, "Yeah, I just life was tough for me. I didn't like him. I didn't want him near me, so I killed him." Would that be acceptable in a court of law?
These late-term abortions, yes, they're crazy. I can admit.
What makes
that.
it crazy?
But
Why?
I mean, because it's gross. It's gross.
Yeah, it's also here's one that's about. There's one over here that's just really about 12 weeks.
Still has hands, feet,
Human.
eyes, head,
I mean, that's a human, right?
ears.
My thing is, people that are anti-choice, right? They spend a lot of time doing this, but do you also spend your other time like helping out at adoption agencies?
Yeah, I adopted my son.
volunteering
He was
and
going to
stuff?
be
Okay,
aborted.
That's
Brother,
good.
Yeah.
Brother, I would say, I think what you're doing is for the sake of not being offensive. You're allowing something like this to take place. I think you're so worried about offending people that you're okay with murder of innocent people.
I don't think anyone is happy about doing this kind of thing. I'm sure.
so-
I'm
I
sure
could
the
show you
person
videos
went
of
through
people who are very happy.
Very
Been to an
hard.
abortion clinic.
What?
You've never been to an abortion clinic.
I have.
This
I have.
happens
I volunteer at one.
3,000 babies a day. This happens 3,000 times
Yeah.
a day here. in this
But I don't think people are taking pleasure from doing this kind of thing. It's a very hard decision. I
Aren't
think
they
we should respect
pleased?
that
Aren't they
decision.
pleased though when they finish? Aren't they pleased that I made the right decision?
I've known people that go through abortions and they have like felt the immense weight of
Why is
of
that?
what happened.
Why?
Because it's a lot to go through.
Is it killing? Is it because it's killing a child?
No, I don't
Tough
think
to
so.
look at it.
I don't think so.
Well, what is it?
If it's tough to look at, sweetheart, should it be allowed? Think about it.
My goodness.
Think about it.
But brother, what is that? Biologically speaking,
Yeah, it's like a fetus. thing.
Human.
Yeah.
right? Human from conception. I mean, you're at LSU. I'm sure you've taken some biology
My
classes
daughter
here.
was born premature.
Yeah.
That size.
Look, again, I think the choice isn't up to us.
We should be able to kill people at will.
I don't think it's the same. I don't think that's
But is it human?
equivalent.
Well, back during the time of slavery, they would look at a black man and say, I know it looks like a person, it's not a person, it's a black man. But fundamentally where that was an abomination is that we're all humans. And to oppress another human because I find it them inconvenient, or I think that they're less human than me or not fully developed,
Some distinction.
that's the same problem that happened in the Holocaust and in slavery. The plantation owners were arguing the same thing.
I think that's a bit different when
Why?
you equate
This is murder.
Why?
enslaving an entire race of people,
It's devaluing human life.
3,000
like,
3,000
why?
a day.
because that's like a little thing. Like it's not.
So can
It's
can
way
I
different.
enslave a little black man?
Again, he's like a conscious human with autonomy.
Do you know who are getting aborted
This
more?
is not.
As far as numbers wise, do you know?
Oh,
What
yeah.
ethnicity?
It's definitely disproportionate. Do you know there's a reason for that? You know,
Because Planned Parenthood sets up in mostly black neighborhoods.
because who are incapable of taking care of their kids?
Do you know what Margaret Sanger said about the black race?
who?
She wanted to exterminate them.
Yes, there's that thing about Planned Parenthood. You know,
They've done a great job.
look,
It's genocide.
these communities cannot care for their kids.
So kill them?
It's not killing them.
That's
'Cause
not
they're
that's not
like
killing?
a thing yet.
Well, that's a human being. How many years are you in your study here at LSU?
2.
Have you taken any biology classes?
Mm-hmm.
So you know in biology classes, every biological textbook will tell you that all human life begins at conception. All human life.
It does not say that.
Yeah, that's a fact of biology. It's not even disputed in the abortion industry. It's all, you are fully human from conception. You and me.
Yes, you're not like a crocodile
You
from conception. Of
right, you're
course.
human. Yeah. Everything about you and I, at the moment of conception, was determined. Eye color, your genetics, everything about you. The book that writes you was at that very moment. The only difference was a difference of degree. So you were very small. You're not fully developed. Well,
Right.
so are 1-year-olds and 6-year-olds and 9-year-olds. They're still developing and they're still small.
Oh, I think even taking like a Plan B pill after, you have sex and stuff like that, you really think that's bad too?
If the human life was created, yeah, that's
Really?
that's the unjustified taking of human life. And here's the thing, brother. Hey, listen, my name's Jeff, by the way.
Zach.
Pleasure to meet you. The problem we would say here is that this isn't a problem of biology or what is the case. It's human from conception, that can't be disputed. It's a moral question, because you agree, like, okay, yeah, that's a human life.
It is a moral question.
But it's a moral question. Should I be able to take the life of a child because it's inconvenient or because my circumstances are tough? And it's really an issue of sin.
I mean, what about the accidents though?
What accidents?
The accidents when women don't want to get pregnant, or people don't want to get pregnant, and
But
then they do.
They get pregnant because they have sex.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's a choice. You had sex, and what happens?
Is also a choice.
What happens in the world? Well, but when you have sex, we know that if we have sex,
You run the risk.
that
yeah.
you can get pregnant,
But
right?
we have measures in place to eliminate that risk.
Right, to kill the babies.
Right.
Immoral measures.
To kill the babies.
That's the issue. It's
Well,
immoral.
Then, okay, by that argument, having sex before you're ready to have a kid is also immoral, and I doubt that you'd find a lot of people. who
Well,
agree with you on
it goes down to it's another moral issue.
Yeah.
Did God create us to be promiscuous and to have sex and create life and kill life, or did God create us as unique, beautiful, wonderful creations of God that
God
are in
gave us
God's
the choice.
they're in God's image? Hey, you have choices every day to sin or not sin, to love
Right.
God or not love God, and this is a choice to not love your neighbor. This is our neighbor.
That's a result of those choices.
But
That's
again,
our neighbor.
God gave us the choice, right? I mean, from
He
jump.
didn't give us the permission to murder others. He gave
gave
us
us a choice.
he gave us a command. He said, "You shall not murder."
But
That's
again,
that's
we
a
are
command.
still
Somebody
capable
has a-
of doing it.
somebody has a
Sure.
choice.
And
So-
what happens to people who do murder?
They didn't,
According to Jesus.
they didn't. God didn't take that option away. Like we.
No,
we have the
actually
capacity to murder.
he never gave everybody an option. You have permission to kill. He said, "You shall not murder." That's a command. We violate his law. There's a difference between God's permission and our violation. We say no to God. I will not love you. I will not love my neighbor. I will murder at will, and that's the consequence. See, this is a problem of sin. It's not a problem of just choice and, is that really a human? It's a human life, and we're murdering them.
Well, I think we'll never fundamentally agree.
Is that a human life? This is a loving challenge to you. Is it a human life? Yes. What is the unjustified taking of human life? Murder.
But again, I think the choice should still exist. I
We
don't
should
think,
be.
I don't think you should take the choice away.
Would you feel that way about Hitler? He should have had the choice to murder Jews?
This is way different.
How
This is
so?
Way different.
Well, it was human beings that he called parasites. Well, he called them parasites. He said Jews are not fully human, they're parasites. They had pamphlets they handed out over Germany calling the Jew the parasite. But we know that that's evil because God's word gives us a full, comprehensive perspective of humanity. But I think you know in your heart of hearts why that's evil, because it's wrong to treat another human being like that. Hitler said, I determine that's not a full human like us. It's a parasite. We should be able to kill them. But in the abortion industry, we're saying the same thing about these little humans. I see it as a parasite. It's just a clump of cells, but it's fully human. And we're dehumanizing them by saying, I can kill them at will.
The clump of cells.
You're a clump of cells.
Yes. Again, autonomous, consciously thinking clump of cells.
So
yes. But like the clump of cells inside of someone's uterus.
So if a human being, say you and I, let's say you and I go out and get lunch together, we get in a bad car accident, and you're not able to breathe on your own,
Should
and
be
you're no
touched
longer
per minute.
conscious. You're
Right,
in a
right,
coma. Should someone be able to come in and kill you because you're no longer conscious and no longer autonomous? Like you're in a coma. Don't we work to preserve those lives?
My parents, the people, you know, kind of over me, would have the authority. Okay, we're gonna pull the plug, or we're not gonna.
Do you
pull
see the
plug,
difference, though?
Stuff like that.
Pulling the plug means letting nature take its course naturally. It's different than someone cutting your head off and your limbs off. That's what we're talking about here. This is not natural. This is sucking.
So then we can all agree and say it should just be done more humanely then.
No. We're not saying that at all, because if you let this go naturally, what happens? A live birth.
Not necessarily.
It's a live birth. What happens when women get pregnant? You know, I'm not instructing you. You know this, brother. When women get pregnant in our world, and that baby's allowed to develop, women give birth. That's how God created us. But what we're doing here is we're going in and we're saying, I'm going to crush this baby's skull. I'm going to disembowel them. I'm going to suck their brains out of their head. That's not natural. That's unjustified taking of human life. And brother, I think you know that in your heart of hearts. The issue is sin.
But again, we have the choice. God did not.
How about the slave owners? They have the choice.
Forbid us from doing this.
Didn't God command? I'll give you a good example. In God's law, it actually says if you kidnap and enslave somebody, that deserves a death penalty. That was biblical law. And that flowed through history, and that was one of the reasons why Christians were able to abolish slavery, because they pointed directly to God's law, and they said kidnapping and enslaving, God explicitly says, is a capital crime.
Plenty of Christians owned slaves
But
back then.
and what were they doing? They were sinning against what they knew to be true. The Word of God completely contradicted what they were doing. But when you say we have the choice, did those plantation owners have the choice? Should they just been able to kidnap and enslave at will?
Again, I think you're equating something that's completely.
Well, they were
not on
taking
the same
humans.
level.
They were taking humans. We both agree blacks are humans. They were taking humans, right? And they were dehumanizing them, saying, I can do with them, this class of human, whatever I wish. It is the same, because in this case, we're taking humans and saying, I can do whatever I want with them.
The reason he's saying what he's saying is because you said, and what you were equating is that because God has given us a choice to do something, therefore it's right. And so he's showing you that we have choices to do many things, but our choice to be able to do them doesn't necessitate that those things are moral or good. And that's what he's trying to.
But I'm saying
Ma'am,
that
pro-life.
we do have the choice.
Ma'am,
But it doesn't make it right.
And so we cannot take that choice
Cannot?
away because he gave us the choice.
We live in a fallen world, and God gives us commands. We, as people made in His image,
On the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not abort a baby.
you should not murder. Murder in Scripture is unjustified taking of human life.
That's a human being.
And then that's the fundamental, like you keep trying to take it away, but that is our disagreement here.
It's
We
a
don't
command.
Consider this to be like
Did-
human.
Well, no, I would challenge you to go to your library here, look up any biological textbook related to this issue, this question of human life, and you will see that without question, with no disagreement, it isn't even disputed anymore, and this is a fact, all human life begins at conception. It is human from conception.
Are you saying it's not human because it's mangled? Have you ever seen, like, let's say, a mangled human body, let's say whether it's on the internet or whatever it may be, do you look at it and say that wasn't human?
I'm not saying it's because it's human, no,
Have you ever seen a newborn baby?
or because it's mangled.
Have you ever seen a newborn baby?
I have seen a newborn baby.
What's that?
Not.
Isn't it human though? Isn't that the issue?
I mean, yeah, it's on its way to becoming a human.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, why would you think that? Is that just subjective? It's arbitrary?
Oh
You
yeah,
just-
I think it is subjective.
Yeah,
Setting
there you
up
go.
Categories, though, that could lead
That's what they
to
said about
some
the Jews.
great Evils. That's what he's saying is you're setting up categories to determine who can be protected. If the categories you're
Tough to
setting
look
up
at, huh?
can lead to some great evils in society if we go according to your logic.
They
we
have
permit it?
led
We
to,
can't
brother.
look
They
at it.
have led to great evils. With the Holocaust, with slavery, same
Same
issue.
logic, your same categories you're setting up that are arbitrary.
Can I ask you? Try this and tell me how you respond to it, because I want to hear what you have to say.
Pro-life?
In Nazi Germany, you and I, because I would say the Christian worldview influencing the world, we look at what happened not very long ago in the Holocaust, and we say abomination. Charge those guys to the fullest extent, give them the worst punishments ever in terms of justice. We would look there and say evil, and if we went there together, we'd be speaking out against it together. You can't treat them like that. But what will your argument be with the Germans in that day who said, yeah, no, I know it looks like a person. It's not a person, it's a parasite. We can do with them what we want. They did what you're doing now to these
But again, it's very different.
How?
Because those were conscious, autonomous people that they were calling parasites.
But I already responded
this
to
is
that, though,
not.
right? Like, what happens to the guy in a coma?
Right.
Do
So
we, or do we have
his
permission to
family-
kill? Do we have
his
permission to
family,
kill him?
They get to decide whether they want to pull the plug or keep him on.
But pulling
life
the
support
plug
or
means
whatever.
just letting him die of natural causes. It's not being.
Natural
it's not.
causes, the
It's
car accident?
It's not being forced. Right. The car accident caused.
natural cause?
Yeah, exactly. The car accident caused the injury and the death. The family saying, "Let's let nature
Let's say
take
the
its
abortion
course."
caused
This
nature
no
took its
no
course
no
and
no
you sucked
no.
the brain out of the
What
baby,
happens?
Nature took its course and it died.
No, a human being went in and actually, with malice of forethought, crushed the skull of the baby, decapitated him, disemboweled him.
With malice?
Yeah.
Or is that just the procedure?
Well, it's malice of forethought. In other words, you think ahead of time what I'm going to do to end the life of this human being. That's malice of forethought. Do you see? Were you raised in church?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So listen, the fundamental issue here, because you said it a minute ago, you said, yeah, it's a moral issue. That's what it is. It's not biological.
it's a moral issue.
It's a moral issue.
And-
It wasn't a biological issue with slavery. Those blacks are as equally as human as everybody else. It wasn't an issue in the Holocaust. Jews are equally human as everybody else. It was always a moral question. It was evil people, wicked people looking down their nose at black people and saying, because of the color of your skin, because of your tribe, I am allowed to own you, control you, because you're less human than me. Same issue. Holocaust, looking down their nose saying, I see you as a parasite, I see you as evil, and so I can do with you and your children as I please. It's an issue of sin. It's always an issue of sin. And the only thing that can save us from that is Christ. He's God who became man, lived perfectly, died for sinners, and rose again from the dead, for all people who trust in him. But the issue here is fundamentally moral, and this culture has indoctrinated all of us. It's indoctrinated us. Like it's taught us to say, yeah, less than human. And that's exactly how they felt during the time of slavery, is that it was common for people to look around black people and say, yeah, less than human. He could be enslaved. Like if I walked by the auction block and I saw 3 black men standing up on posts in a marketplace, at the time it was common fare. People would go, yeah, less than human. They're allowed to do that to them. But if you saw white people up on those posts, people would have been aghast. Wait, what are you doing? That's a superior human. You can only oppress those humans. It was always sin. And the only thing that freed us from the bondage of slavery was the gospel itself and the Christian worldview. And the only thing that's going to free us from this abomination is the gospel itself and the Christian worldview.
Again, I don't think you could compare slavery and the Holocaust.
Can you refute it?
To people
Can you-
getting abortion.
Can you refute it?
Yes, I've been trying to refute it this whole
What he's
time.
trying to show is that you're using the same argumentation. He's refuting your argumentation by showing you how they use the same argumentation you do, but we can refute that. So he's showing that you're being inconsistent in your argumentation because it doesn't.
Because you would fit in very well in principle with their argumentation. You just don't like who they were doing it to. You would say, your arguments are good because you can have the choice to do that however you want, but I don't like that you're doing it to black people. I don't like you're doing it to Jews.
Shift it over to these babies.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? In principle, your argument is the same. You've just chosen a different class of human to dehumanize.
Or I've chosen humans.
But that is human.
Like, I can see how it would be,
So
like,
then-
given the full term, yeah, but like,
So how about
different.
my
It's-
2-year-old's not fully developed, bro, and he's fully
but
dependent.
he's out and he's conscious and he's autonomous. He
So the birth canal is magical. Like
Sure.
when I pass through it,
not?
I become human.
yeah.
So that isn't
say
isn't
when you
that
cut the umbilical
isn't that
cord or
completely okay? So now it's umbilical cord. So when they
Sure.
come out, so let's say the baby comes out, and up to that point, the mother and father wanted it. It comes out, and the parents go, you know what? Change of heart. Cut his head off.
cannot do that.
But they didn't cut the umbilical cord. You said if the umbilical cord's cut, then it's human. Let's say they wait. Let's say they say, let's
Okay,
don't cut
then
the
we'll call it birth canal.
birth canal. So the
Yeah.
birth canal is magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Capital.
Okay.
But that-
Okay. So what makes you human is passing through the few inches of the birth canal.
I like that.
Do you see?
Yeah.
But here's what's happening. Your arguments have failed in every category. So now you have actually gone to the arbitrary standard of saying if you go through the vaginal canal, that makes you human. What about Here you go. What about humans like all my kids? My wife couldn't actually give birth to the children. Her body's broken in that way. She had to have a C-section. Every one of my kids came out via C-section. They didn't pass their birth canal. So are they valuable today or no?
Okay, so we'll say once they're expulsed from the person's body.
Okay, so your perspective is that what makes you valuable is your location?
I think, again,
Do you see how it's not working, brother?
no, it's different. It's fundamentally different.
I think you know, brother. You know.
I can.
I'm not.
see
Look,
how
I'm not.
This is
I
gross.
promise you this. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm not trying to win an argument with you. I think you know. You
Listen,
know.
I personally, yes, no, not the best look here, right? I believe in God, all that stuff. But I'm still pro-choice.
Why?
Because He gave us the choice. This
Well,
kind
he
of
gave us.
technology and
He gave us
stuff is at our
the.
disposal.
He gave us the opposite, though. He said, "You shall not murder." That's not a choice to murder. He's saying, "I'm commanding you, don't do it."
I don't think this is murder.
What's the unjustified taking of human life?
Again, I think it's much different when the life is that little guy right there
Small?
and like an autonomous being.
She's small. Can I kill her?
That's you have to see that this is completely different.
But you
cannot
argue.
say that those are
But
the
you notice,
exact
brother,
same.
you're going from one argument. When it fails, you go to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. You're like, it's small. Well, it doesn't look fully human. Well, I should just be able to kill it if I want to. I don't see it as the same class of human as me. Do you see how you have to kind of waffle between positions? Inconsistency is a sign of a failed argument for me and for you, for all of us. And so if we're holding on to a position that is not tenable because it's just inconsistent and falling apart, it's wrong. Like if we love the truth, we won't want to hold on to inconsistent arguments. And I think you and I both have been indoctrinated by this culture. And so we all can't help it, media and all the rest, teachers. And so we've been taught over the last 50 years to dehumanize other human beings. And so even sometimes people raised in the church will say, I guess that's what we all believe. But what if it's wrong? What if it's sin? What if God says that it's sin?
We can say that it's sin, but again, that is religion, right? Outside of, what we're talking about.
Why?
Because it's our religion. The beliefs that we hold.
Everybody here is religious.
So, the person that underwent this operation, if they are not religious, I don't get what the
Does that work? Does that work in court? Think about it. A guy. Let's say a guy molests. Like he molests. This happens all the time. It's evil. It's an abomination. Let's say he molests 5 little girls under the age of 5 years old. He comes into court. The judge says this is immoral. This is wicked, and the person goes, I don't share your belief system. For me, it's a good, happy thing.
That is breaking the law, right?
Whose law?
But we can do this
whose law?
under the parameters of
Whose law,
the
though? It's breaking the law. Whose law?
Okay, yes, the U.S. law.
Where'd that come
whatever,
from?
Federal law.
Where'd that come from?
I don't know.
Biblical law, brother.
Okay. God also says to follow the law of men and the king and stuff like that.
Unless it
Then-
contradicts his law, you must obey God rather than men. His law is transcendent. You're right about that.
I'm not saying people are getting forced into having abortions and stuff like that. I'm just saying the choice.
I wouldn't
is
argue in that at all.
important. The choice should be available.
My point was, you said if someone doesn't share those religious beliefs, it doesn't apply to them. I'm saying try that in a court of law. Court judge says you're not allowed to molest
do
children.
this in a court of law because this is legal.
But so if it's legal, it's moral. Slavery was legal,
It's not anymore.
but when it was it moral?
Okay, and yes, that's why you're changing the law. But again, they've already determined. Fine.
But did you see what we did again there?
It's fine.
You made one argument. If it's legal, it's moral. It doesn't work. And so now you have to shift to a different thing. Anytime you and I have to hop between positions because they all fail, maybe we should stop and consider.
I'm
maybe
just trying to get you from a different angle.
Well, I know you're
I'm not
trying
saying
everything you
eye to eye.
can, and I'm reasoning with you because I'm not trying to win an argument to beat you or anything. I'm trying to expose the fact that you know what's going on. You know that it's evil. In your heart of hearts, you know it. And I want to just encourage you with something. The main thing I want you to hear is this:
It's hard to look at. We shouldn't permit it.
is that this is an issue of sin. You said you were raised in the
This is what's
church.
happening.
This is sin.
Every day,
And the only thing that
7,000
saves
a
us from
year
our sin is
in our
Christ and Christ alone. Turning from sin and trusting in Him. Jesus Christ defines this as murder. And so if He's your Lord, if He's the lawgiver, if he's your Lord, is he your Lord?
He doesn't talk about abortion.
Is
When
he?
does he talk about
Abortion is the unjustified taking of human life. That's a euphemism.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are we
Like-
losers?
Now we're losers? See, I think what happens is, this just showed something. A moment ago, you were saying that Christ was your Lord. You believed.
Y'all are sitting here putting this shit on here like women want to
Is
have
it offensive?
abortions.
Is it
Thank
offensive?
you.
They
Thank
sit
you.
there, they sit there like we
No one
think
is happy
abortion
about
is
it.
funny.
Why do
But
they
it's
have
even
them if
more
they don't wanna
comical
have
that y'all are here. Y'all are fucking losers.
Wait.
Instead of going do something.
Can I ask you a
productive with
question?
I don't really want to talk to
Okay,
you.
women. You said women don't want to have abortions.
Yes, women don't.
So
we
how
don't-
come 3,000 are dying a day?
Because they have to.
They have to.
Can I ask you a
don't
question?
understand their
I don't see you
circumstances.
advocating for adoption agencies.
I adopted
don't-
my
I don't see
adopted
you
my
talking
son.
about that.
Can
I don't-
my name is Jeff.
really
I
don't
adopted my
care.
son. He was going to be aborted. I
I'm just
adopted
saying,
him.
with the time
So your
we
argument's
have right
failed,
now,
isn't it?
No,
wouldn't it be
I don't.
better
And why is it
spent
hard for women to have an
with
abortion?
lives?
Because
Why?
we
Adoption,
should have
like,
the choice.
on-
I
No,
shouldn't
why
have
is
to
it
have a
hard?
baby.
You said it
No,
hurt.
you listen to
You
me.
said it hurts
I
her.
shouldn't have
Those
to
are
have a
dying.
baby
These
because
are-
you want
these
me.
What'd you call it?
They
I
are
should have to
dying.
have a baby.
So you should be able to kill the
Those
baby.
systems are so
Yes.
poor.
There you go.
They
Did
are-
you?
they are
Hey,
very good.
you should
Underfunded.
listen to what she just said.
What you
If
said?
I,
I
want
said-
to kill my baby, I'm gonna kill that shit.
Thank you. You said women
I have ovaries
don't
and you don't.
take pleasure in it. That's how we started. She
You're
just
generalizing.
no.
Yeah.
She
don't
just
even do
she
that,
just
'cause they're
refuted
actually,
your
like,
position.
stupid.
Is she speaking on behalf of all women?
I'm-
But I
I'm
just
talking
showed
about
you that
me,
this is
though.
the face of abortion. You tried to protect it. This is the real face. She said, I should be able to kill that shit if I want to,
Yes.
her baby.
And I will.
So, should I be able to rape a baby if I want to?
What does that have to do with
You said you should be able to kill a baby if you
Because
want
it's my
to.
body.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
not your body.
It's not your body.
It is
The
my
baby
body.
the baby is
The
not your
baby
body.
Is
There are still
cells.
children
It's
in
fucking
adoption.
cells.
Your
in my
cells.
stomach.
Your
Why haven't you
cells.
adopted them all?
Human cells. Your argument's failed, isn't it?
No,
The baby's
it's not,
body is
because
not
I'm
your
a woman
body.
and you're a dumb man with
Okay.
a little cross on.
Okay.
Abolish abortion. Y'all
So-
are actual losers.
So, what if I wanted to stop sex trafficking? Can I do it because I'm not a
You're
woman?
Well, are you here talking about sex trafficking?
Well, hold on. I'm
No,
asking
you're
you.
not.
I'm asking you to reason
And
with
I
this.
changed it.
I don't have a uterus. Can I stop sex trafficking?
You're not doing that. That's obsolete.
Well, you don't have a penis, so you shouldn't talk to the guys that are sex trafficking.
That is
Right?
That doesn't-
Isn't that your argument? No,
There
you
are
can't
still
think about it
children in
because
adoption.
your
That doesn't
logic
exist.
is tainted with
My logic
sin.
is not tainted. Your logic is tainted.
Your
with
arguments-
religious
How are they doing
bullshit.
that?
Your argument, you're very religious. You're very religious. Your argument is if I don't have a uterus, I can't speak against this atrocity.
No, that
You don't
has
have a
nothing to do with
penis.
religion.
You don't have a
That has nothing
penis.
to do with religion, and it has nothing to do
You
with
don't
sex
have a
trafficking.
penis,
You're
so
bringing
you
that up
can't
'cause
do
you're trying
sex
to make me
trafficking.
mad,
You can't
but
speak.
I am
I'm not trying to
secure
make
in
you
my
mad.
stance, and I know
No, your arguments
that
have
women
failed
have the right
to
have
kill their
abortions.
babies.
Yes.
I think
There you go.
adoption
Exactly.
To murder their
agencies,
babies.
foster care centers and
I'm
stuff
glad
like
you
You're
that.
admitted
not
it.
gonna take care of
You
their
need to
baby
you need to
without
turn
work
you need to
for-
turn from your sin and trust
know
in
what?
Christ
They're
because
not.
you just advocated for murdering your own child.
I didn't advocate for murdering the
That's what you
child.
just said.
I'm advocating for a woman to choose to do what
To
she
murder
wants
her
with
child.
body.
You said to murder her
Y'all are
child.
ridiculous.
Your arguments failed. Turn from your sin. We're abolishing abortion in your state. Our bill's already in. It's being heard on Wednesday. We're going to a
Losers standing here on Free Speech Alley being some dickheads. Y'all are some
can't get around that.
idiots.
You
Go
try,
get a
but
job.
you cannot
Go
get around
do
that
something
this, number one,
actual
is a
with your
human,
life. Sitting
innocent,
here
and to
talking to
take its
women,
life
trying to be
is murder.
stupid.
That's what it is.
Y'all are
Bottom line, a
stupid.
moral issue.
Why don't you
How does
show a
How
picture of
does
that?
it feel- How does it feel to be a clown?
Right? Hey, tell them to go to
How
Apologia
does it feel to be a
Studios.
clown?
Go to
How does it
endabortionnow.com.
feel to be a clown?
Go to Apologia Studios on YouTube.
Clown.
Yeah. Check out this photo.
Losers,
Do you
clowns.
show the picture?
Losers.
Show the picture.
Losers. Clowns.
Apologia Studios, you'll see yourself.